Good morning, dear Goenkans. Hope you all are doing well. As you know that we have started revision, so this audio lesson is in context with the revision of topic World of Flowers. So take out your textbook and open page 65 of your textbook. So we'll be revising today parts of a flower. All flowers look different, isn't it? But they have several things in common. So there are four main parts of a flower: the petals, the sepals, the stamen, and the carpel. Sometimes carpel is also known as pistil. If a flower has all the four of these key parts, it is considered to be a complete flower. If any one of these elements is missing, it is an incomplete flower. The parts of the flower that are necessary for seed production are the stamen, that is the male part, and carpel, the female part. If a flower has both of these parts, it is called a perfect flower. If a flower has only one of the reproductive parts, either a stamen or carpel, it is considered to be an imperfect flower. So let's come to the parts of the flower one by one. Petals. Petal is the bright colored part that attracts bees, insects, and birds. Color of petal varies from plant to plant. This is the petal. Here you can see. While some are bright colored, the others are pale colored. Thus, petals help us to differentiate one flower from another. Sepals. Sepal is the green colored part beneath the petal to protect the rising buds. The sepal is the first part of the flower to grow. Forming at the uppermost end of a stem, the sepal creates a bud around the emerging flower, and its key responsibilities are to protect the flower as it grows and prevents it from drying out. So this is the sepal. So coming to the reproductive parts of flower, reproduction is the process by which a living being gives rise to a new offspring. Plants reproduce to give rise to new plants. The process of plant reproduction requires the male and female parts of the plant. Stamen. This is the male reproductive part of the flower. It consists of two parts, namely anther and filament. Anther is yellowish sac-like structure involved in producing and storing the pollens. Pollen is the male cell. It's the yellow dust made on the stamen or male reproductive part of the flower. The filament is a slender thread-like object which functions by supporting the anther. The function of stamen is to produce pollen. When a bee or bird touches the anther, the pollen will stick to them and then get transported to other flowers they visit. Carpel. This is the innermost part and the female reproductive part of a flower, which comprises of three parts: stigma, style, and ovary. The ovaries produce eggs and are located in the center of the flower. Stigma. It's attached to the top of the carpel where the pollen from the flowers land. Style is a tubular structure that connects the ovary and stigma. It is responsible for the transportation of pollen from stigma to the ovary and holding the stigma in place. Ovary. It is the reproductive gland that holds a lot of ovules. It is the part of the plant where the seed formation takes place. The stigma captures pollen that has been transported to the stigma of the flower by wind or insects and birds. Upon arriving on the stigma, pollen will germinate to produce a pollen tube down the style. When it reaches the ovary sac, here the pollen will germinate to produce a pollen tube down the style. When it reaches the ovary sac, the pollen tube fertilizes the ovules. Here, at this point, pollination is complete. A fertilized ovary swells to protect the developing seed and transforms the flower into a fruit. Inside the fruit, a fertilized ovule becomes a seed. From that, the plant can be sown and an entirely new plant created. So this is all about the revision of parts of flower and their functions as well.